Is the world coming to an end? These are the big questions of our generation. And today we've got a sustainability expert and consultant, Jason Feldman, with us. And he is going to be talking about three practical ways you can reduce your carbon footprint. So before we even get into it, Jason, can you quickly give an explanation of what a carbon footprint even is and why it's impacting why you should be aware of it?
Yeah, well, carbon footprint was invented by fossil fuel companies to shift the responsibility away from companies and industry, which has the biggest impact towards individuals. And yeah, it was invented around 1980s, 1990s to take the scrutiny away from the bigger companies. So while carbon footprint is a very big thing today, individuals have a little bit of a role, but it's mainly big companies and industry that needs to shift.
So are you saying that individuals don't need to worry about their impact on this on society, and we should put all the focus and attention on big industries and companies?
Well, I think it's important for individuals to take responsibility for their own actions. So, if you're not living in a sustainable way, then how can you expect us as a society to shift to a more sustainable economy or approach to living, essentially? So, I think there is individual responsibility that we should be thinking about.
All right, so talking about individual responsibility, we're going to go over three things that you can do right now to positively impact the environment, or at least stop or reduce your environmental damage. So let's get into it. What is the number one, number two, and number three practical pieces of advice that you have? There's a few people in the background listening in, so this is a very important message.
Yeah, sorry, they made a funny face. That's why I was laughing. I think number one is reducing flying. So flying is very impactful. Uh, the other one is instead of driving, switch to public transport or other forms of low emissions travel. So biking or walking where you can. It's also healthier for yourself. And the third one that I'd say is what you eat as well. So diet plays a role as well. And we know that animal proteins generally have a higher impact also if you're eating the same thing over and over, or it's coming from, for example, a farm that is only producing one crop and using lots of chemical pesticides to control that crop. That's also going to have a more negative impact than if you're eating more um, various types of foods and farms that have kind of a more rotational crop approach.
There you go. So number one is reduce your flying, which is controversial because someone like Elon Musk cares about the planet, so he says,
Hmm.
moving humanity to more sustainable planets. It's actually interesting. I was listening to this audiobook on Stephen Hawking's book called, I think it's like Brief Questions to the Big Questions or something, like Brief Answers to Big Questions, something like that. And he actually came to the conclusion towards the end of his book that in order for humanity to survive, we need to move to other planets, which I thought was pretty interesting because I've never really heard anyone else actually confirm what Elon Musk is saying about, traveling
Mm.
to Mars and stuff like that. So that was
Yeah.
interesting. Um, but Elon Musk travels quite frequently in a private jet, but he's also doing all these things to um, reduce to reduce the negative impacts on things like car emissions by having electric cars, for example, or having the long-term vision of being able to move to different planets. But he also travels a lot in private jets. So I'm assuming he might have weighed up the consequences of his travels and decided that it was better for him to be able to travel the way he does. So there's pros and cons, I guess. There's like a way up,
Yeah.
of consequences.
He might have a savior complex. He thinks that he's the only one that can save the planet, so therefore he can have a negative impact himself.
Nice. All right, number two from Jason, expert sustainability consultant, is around local travel. So take public transport when you can. Try to walk and ride bicycles to places instead of driving by yourself. Have you seen that Volvo ad from like the 60s where they show basically they show everyone going through traffic but without cars, and like it was meant to, the big take, their message was like, you've got all this space, you need to be driving in a car that is, it's like your environment. And basically like the big takeaway from the public, it just showed like how inefficient cars were, because it was showing like a highway and everyone's like spaced out like 2 or 2.5 meters away from each other, and it was just showing like, and it's like one person or like two people.
Interesting.
So take public transport. And the third one, which is Jason's most controversial one, which is going to get the most, I wouldn't say the most hate, but the most people ignoring it.
Let me know in the comments.
Exactly. Let him know in the comments if you think eating more sustainably is good. And if you dive into what Jason is saying, animal protein, cut that out of your life.
Well, yeah, just think about where it's coming from, how it's being produced. So there's different ways. Everything has an impact. Some things have less of an impact. Some things have more of a positive impact.
So if someone was to eat like animal protein, which source would you recommend?
I don't know. I'm not officially an expert on that one.
Okay, well, I'll give you one. Kangaroo meat.
Kangaroo's all right.
Kangaroos are right. Kangaroos aren't farmed. They're hunted. Eat animals that are hunted, not farmed.
Yeah. Well, maybe. We might get some backlash from that one as well. I think as well, like those three things are as an individual, but also where you put your money. So which bank you're banking with, or where your investment accounts are, or your retirement savings are being held and invested in. That also has a factor, because some places where you put your money are going to be pushing companies, the bigger elements of negative impact. So the companies that we said at the beginning is the most impactful, they're going to be pushing them to be more sustainable and to change their practices to more sustainable practices. So that's another thing.
So to conclude this video, let's reward a company that's doing a good job. What's a company people should support that are making changes to the way they are harming the environment? Oh, okay, what's one environmentally sustainable company, and what's one company that's doing a good job at reducing their carbon footprint?
You're putting me on the spot here. I mean, often people say Patagonia is like the shining example of a sustainable company. But there's controversy for that, because obviously they're producing consumer goods. But I think when you look at what Patagonia does, the quality of their materials, where they're trying to source from, also they're shifting into food, so more regenerative agriculture, and their ability to take your product back and repair it, or reuse it if they need to and replace it with a new one. That is a shining light of sustainability, making it more circular, making it come back around. And someone that is improving their sustainability credentials. I think, you see lots of supermarkets around the world, they're moving a little bit, trying to think about where they're sourcing from, not just throwing away almost perfect fruit and veg, but putting it in a different bin for people who want a bit of a discount. Like if you look at, we're in Australia, Harris Farm is a more like mid-tier kind of supermarket, a bit more upmarket, but they do a lot where you can just go and buy things that are a little bit bruised but still tasty and healthy, and you get a discount for it. So, and they're reducing the amount of plastic in their stores as well, so that's always good to see. And it's pushing the biggest supermarkets as well to shift as well.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming on. Let us know in the comments what's one thing you can do today. It's not about making huge changes straight away. It's small changes over time. Charlie Munger, step by step we get ahead, but not necessarily in fast spurts. So what is one change that you can make today? For me, what is my change? What am I going to do? What's one thing I can do today that you think will help reduce the impact I'm having on the planet?
Take public transport to your hike later.
It's not really realistic in Australia. So that's good. Good positive ending to this. There's no action for me to take. All right, sounds good.
You're too sustainable, bro.
Too sustainable. All right, let us know in the comments what's one thing you can do. For me, for example, I switched from plastic reusable water bottles to a glass water bottle that I can reuse over time. If you like this video and you want to see guests like Jason on again, you want to talk more about the environment and how you can make a difference in your life, then hit the thumbs up button and, of course, subscribe. And we'll see you next time. All right, nice. Oh, shit.